Kamala Harris cackles as she is asked why she hasn't visited the U.S.-Mexico border. AOC slams Kamala Harris for her messaging on illegal immigration. And Arizona is pissed at Joe Biden for housing 1,200 illegal immigrants at a local hotel. And I have a lot to say about that. Welcome to the Bald Brad Show. Before we get into our lead story today, please take a moment right now to hit that like and subscribe button. It really does help support the channel, and it also pushes the YouTube algorithm to send my videos and my channel out there to those who haven't seen my videos or my channel. And with that being said, our lead story of the day comes from our friends over at Blaze Media. It is written by the one, the only, folks, the legend. We haven't heard from him in a while, Phil Shiver. And he titles it, Kamala Harris Laughs, Deflects when grilled about not visiting border. I haven't been to Europe either. Vice President Kamala Harris suffered a cringeworthy moment Monday when she laughed and literally waved off pointed questions about her continued absence from the U.S.-Mexico border, saying she hasn't been to Europe either. So there's a video clip here. I haven't done a reaction clip in a while. Let's go ahead and roll this one with Vice President Kamala Harris dealing with the U.S.-Mexico border.
Just quickly put a button.
Okay.
Do you have any plans to visit the border?
At some point,
at some point when I can fit in my schedule, shit, I don't really know if I ever plan on going. No clue. Did you get the cookies that I sent when I went to Guatemala? Did you? Holy crap, this isn't funny at all.
We are going to the border. We've been to the border. So this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You know, the more times you say it, this whole thing, we've been to the border. We've been to the border, as if like she's trying to do some sort of hypnosis on him and the American public of we've been to the border. Like she's a Jedi, you know. These aren't the droids you're looking for. These aren't the illegal immigrants you've seen. Right? It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're digging yourself a hole here. Let's see how this continues.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe.
Oh, God. But you haven't been to the border. Oh, shit. Her reaction. She doesn't have a clue. How do you answer that? I just love that follow-up, and it's so simple. But you haven't been to the border. Oh, fuck. I haven't been to Europe? What? What are you doing? What are you talking about? You haven't been to Europe? Oh my God, this is freaking good. This is our vice president, you guys. This is our vice president. Oh my God.
And I mean, I don't understand the point that you're making. I'm not discounting the importance of the border.
Well, I'm
I don't understand the question. Give it to me again so I can tell you we've been to the border. We've been to the border. No, you haven't, lady. You haven't been to the border. You haven't seen what's going on at the border. You have no intention of going to the border. You've been the border czar for 70-something days. You flew over the border. Hell, you could have at least stopped on your way to Guatemala or Mexico or El Salvador or Honduras. You could have stopped there for a freaking day, 4 hours, and have made a whole assessment of the situation. Get the Border Patrol in there, ICE, everybody you need, have a whole assessment of the situation, and then go there. And look, nobody would be bitching. But you're sitting there lying straight to this dude's face. You're lying straight to the American public's face saying, we've been there. We've been there. No, you haven't. And we're not that dumb. Hell, I've been monitoring this since day one that you've been in office. Everybody can vouch for that. Got the historical data to show it, meaning my videos. You haven't been down there, lady, and you still don't have any intention. You still don't have anything in your freaking agenda to get your booty down there and look and see what's going on. And you're just going to pull this off. Oh my God. Jesus, man. This is too good. The article goes on to say, during an interview with NBC News anchor Lester Holt, set to air in full on Tuesday, Harris repeatedly deflected questions in regard to her failure to visit the border amid the country's ongoing immigration crisis, which, as it happens, she was appointed to manage. And look, She's coming from California, you guys, my home state. Again, I apologize that we're electing people like that. It's not my fault. I'm not electing them. But look at how they're running California, right? All that's going to happen, right? If you elect a Democrat, especially someone that's coming from California, Minneapolis, Portland, Seattle, any of these leftist ran areas, what you're going to see is how they ran it there, the terrible job of how they ran it. They're going to take that job, that same ideology, that same narrative that they ran here and that destroyed the state, and they're just going to take that and move it in the federal level and destroy the federal level, destroy the country. That's all that happens. They just take one crap area and turn it into another crap area. It's just happening left and right here. It says, in a portion of the interview shown by NBC's Today Show, Holt pressed the vice president on the issue, noting that both Republicans and Democrats have criticized her for it. The question is that come up, and you heard it here, and you'll hear it again, I'm sure, is Holt, why not visit the border? Why not see what Americans are seeing in this crisis? Well, we are going to the border, Harris answered. We have to deal with what's happening at the border. There's no question about that. That's not a debatable point, but we have to understand that there's a reason people are arriving at our border and ask what is the reason and then identify the problem so we can fix it. Well, it's kind of like her being the doctor. You need to assess the situation. You need to assess the wound that's gushing blood, meaning our border. How about first stopping the gushing of blood, meaning build the border wall and build the security, stitch that bad boy up so the bleeding stops, and then you can assess all the other problems that are attributing to that bleeding. But right now you have a big bleed that is happening and you need to fix it and then fix all the other wounds that are attributing to that problem as well. That's all you need to do, lady, and she just won't do it, which shows how like stubborn she is. Where if you have everybody that's been complaining about this, all you need to do, like I said, just say, hey, you know what, fine, let's do it. Let's make a quick weekend trip to the border. Let's assess the situation. Let's get the cameras out there. Let's roll the footage. Let's get the photographers, the whole shebang, and just make a whole thing of it. And then you're done. You don't have to hear about people bitching about it anymore. I mean, all we would be able to have is ammo-wise is you still not fixing the problem. But we're happy that you went down there and at least showed that you cared some up. We don't want you flying over the U.S.-Mexico border and landing in a different country and then having a conversation with the Guatemalan president that just tells you, hey, this is your fault. This is your doing. You need to fix your laws. You need to fix your regulations. Can you create laws that will put coyotes in jail? All these things that we talked about in yesterday's show. It's an easy fix, you guys. That's the thing. And you've all heard me. And I know I'm beating a dead horse here when I talk about this, but it is an easy fix. And they just won't do it, which tells me that they want this type of crisis to happen. My theory on all this, again, it's theory, meaning it's never been proven, and it's just, it could be a conspiracy theory or whatever. My guess is there's only two things. Is one, they really don't know what the hell they're doing, or two, they crafted this crisis on purpose to get illegal immigrants into the country so that you have a crisis and you go, look, we might as well just do amnesty here. There's so many illegal immigrants here. We don't have the funds to deport them. You have upwards between 18 and 20 million illegal immigrants. We might as well perform mass amnesty and just fix the issue rather than deporting 20 million people or however many people we now have illegal into this country. That's what my guess is on all this, or else why would you try to create this issue for yourself? It's not a good look on you. Heck, it's not a good look for your own party, and it's not a good look for the country either when you have this massive crisis, because the other countries are looking at it. Look, if you can't get your own shit together, how are you going to be able to handle us? Right? If you can't handle your own crap at home, how are you going to take care of everything else? My phrase is, if you can't handle the small things, then how are you going to handle the big things? So if you can't handle your own country and the situations that are happening here, how are you going to deal with China? How are you going to deal with Russia? How are you going to deal with North Korea? How are you going to deal with any of these countries? Iran, right? Afghanistan, Iraq, right? Anywhere in the Middle East, the Palestinians. How are you going to deal with anybody that ends up going against the United States, or you're having a tough foreign policy issue or whatever? They're just going to look at that and they're not going to take you serious. And we already saw that with how China disrespected Biden and Harris. We've already seen it. Okay? So this isn't anything new. Well, that's what's going on with Kamala Harris just laughing off the border wall, which is typical. And you remember, she laughed when somebody asked her months ago, hey, when do you plan on visiting the border wall?
Do you plan to visit the border? Not today. But I have before, and I'm sure I will again.
I don't plan on visiting the border wall. Are you crazy? Have you seen it down there? That place looks like crap. Why would I go step in a bunch of dog doo when I know it's right there? Are you nuts? That's how she handles the whole situation. So, also in the news, this comes from Chris Field over at Blaze Media. AOC slams VP Harris for disappointing message to illegal aliens during Guatemala trip, blames U.S. for border crisis. Vice President Kamala Harris finally began addressing the current U.S. border crisis this week, nearly 11 weeks since President Joe Biden tasked her with the duty by scheduling a trip to Guatemala to discuss the root cause of illegal immigration with the country's leadership Monday. Despite her best efforts, it has been a rocky road. First, she arrived to protest from Guatemalans who told her to go home and mind her own business, as well as taunted her with Trump won messages. And I love that. When she's on her route going to certain destinations, you have all these Guatemalans that are lined up having Trump won, mind your own business, Kamala go home. And you know that had to frazzle her a bit. We talked about that a little bit yesterday in yesterday's show. It's, she has to be a little bit bothered by seeing the signs left and right, Trump won. It's just, she's probably just going off on her assistant. Why are these on my route? These shouldn't be here. For the love of God, I told you 50 times, Karen. Get that shit. I can't even do it. Oh my God. Anyways, you know what I'm talking about. I almost just lost my voice. Again, you guys, I speak all day. I teach all day. It's tough for me to do impressions because I'm going to lose my voice for the entire week. It says here, then the Guatemalan president, let's backtrack a little bit here. It says, despite her best efforts, it has been a rocky road. First, she arrived to protest from Guatemalans who told her to go home and mind her own business, which is what we just covered. But then the Guatemalan president hit the airwaves to say that he and Harris are not on the same page or on the same side of the coin on the issue, and reasserted his belief that Biden administration was responsible for the current immigration crisis on the U.S.-Mexico border because of the confusing messaging. And not just the confusing messaging, by the way, them removing Trump's policies also is at least contributed to the issue of the U.S.-Mexico border having all these illegal immigrants crossing every single month. So it's not just the confusing messaging. That's 50% of it. The other 50% is them continually removing policies and regulations and telling the Border Patrol not to do their job. So they have 50% here. The other 50% is on the other side, which is what I just covered. Following Monday's talks with the president, Harris attempted to send a clear message to Central Americans who might be considering an attempt to get into the U.S. illegally. Do not come. And I'll give her credit here because you have to give credit where credit is due. She did have a stern face when she said it. I don't know how more clear you could be as a person standing up in front of everybody where she literally said, do not come, straight face. And as what I saw, it looked like a serious face. Like, I'm all for that type of messaging. It was clear. I got no issues with how she handled that. She said, do not come, do not come. So I don't know what more as far as the messaging they can do verbally, but you need a message symbolically as well, which is you start kicking up the border wall a little bit, start deporting, mass deportations left and right, get ICE back in there. When people start seeing this stuff in the newspaper and it's making headline news across the world about you deporting people, and showing it, actually showing footage of this stuff, people will start taking that messaging a little bit more seriously. You going over to another country and just saying, hey, don't come, it's not enough for people. It's really not enough, especially the damage that you've already done. And they know that you're still continually having surges of illegal immigration happening every single month. You have to do more on the end of the president and the vice president. This isn't enough. What did they say? I want to be clear to folks in this region who are thinking about making the dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border. Do not come. Do not come. The United States will continue to enforce our laws and secure our border. That's where it kind of falls apart because you're not enforcing the laws and you're not securing the border. You stopped border construction and they know that. It's headline news. So you can't say that you're enforcing the border when you're not. I mean, you're apprehending what it's been 900,000 illegal immigrants so far. 900,000. Guys, that's just the ones that we apprehended. That's not counting the ones that slipped through the cracks. So you're talking maybe 100,000 or more people that possibly could have entered in our country illegally. So, you're talking, just say theoretically, I don't have the numbers to prove this, okay? I'm just doing a quick off the cuff, shooting from the hip thing. Say we had 1 million people and 100,000 people crossed in illegally. That's a 10% chance on getting here. That's not those aren't bad odds. And it might be more, right? You could have had maybe 500,000 people already come in illegally. We're looking at what, 40 to 50% roughly somewhere in that area. That's a quick thing off the cuff. It's not an exact number, but that ain't bad odds of trying to get here illegally. Heck, if I wanted to I would try to make it. Why not? Why not? If you have this type of policy going in, there's going to be people that are going to abuse it. And they already are doing it. It's Proof is in the pudding, in the data on what is happening at the U.S.-Mexico border. She later added, if you come to our border, you will be turned back. So let's discourage our friends, our neighbors, our family members from embarking on what is otherwise an extremely dangerous journey, where in large part the only people who benefit are coyotes. Harris's message to the people of Central America displeased AOC. Following the vice president's remarks, the New York congresswoman said the speech was disappointing to see, according to Business Insider. First, seeking asylum at any U.S. border is a 100% legal method of arrival. Second, the U.S. spent decades contributing to regime change and destabilization in Latin America, AOC added. We can't help set up someone's house on fire and then blame them for fleeing. She's just really bad at using certain examples that don't represent what she's trying to push. She's good at messaging at times. She's a really good politician, but you talking about, well, America's destabilizing this country and, somebody's house is on fire and, that's why they should come. It's no different than Kamala Harris blaming the weather over there for why people are mass migrating over here. And again, we talked about that, how, all these people, AOC, you have Kamala Harris, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, all these climate extremists, but yet driving cars around, taking jets everywhere. But, we're going to die in 10 years, you guys. The sea levels are going to go over your head, and the climate's going to change to where we can't have any agriculture. The whole world's going to end. We've been hearing this since at least the 50s and 60s, folks. Before it was going to be an ice age, before the temperatures were going to cool. You can look that up in the newspapers. Just look a little back. They're pushing the whole idea that the climate was going to get cool, it was going to get cold, and we're going to have all these issues. And then it flip-flopped with Al Gore saying that we have global warming. Global warming's a new thing, so it went from cold to hot. Then now they changed it, did kind of a little bit of trickery on the wording. Now there's climate change. Yes, there's climate change. The climate changes literally every day, every hour. Nobody's going to disagree with you that the climate is changing. Nobody's going to disagree with you that maybe it's getting warmer. The question is, why is it getting warmer? Is it because of humans? If it is because of humans, how do we tackle that issue? Do we destroy our economy by going through the Green New Deal like AOC wants? Or is there other avenues? What is the temperature decrease, or is it going to increase, right? What is it really going to be? Because the science on it is all over the place. The studies on it is all over the place. So me, as somebody that reads studies, I don't know which way it's going to go. I can't even tell. So then you have all these scientists, it's going to increase like 20 degrees. They don't say that, by the way. I'm just throwing a number out there. And then you have ones that are like, well, it's going to change like 0.0114, 0.125. Like, it's just all over the place. Who the heck knows? But AOC upset about VP Harris messaging here. And, AOC's a little bit of a fakery herself. She's the one that went to I'm going to do air quotes, the border, took some photos in front of a chain link fence or a fence and just was like making it seem like she's looking at little kids going, like she's at a puppy store or something like that. So this is the same lady that did the tours. Like, they're drinking out of the toilets, when they weren't drinking out of the toilets. The drinking fountain was built above the toilet. And again, our water here in America, the same water that's in your toilet comes out of your faucet. Like, we have the cleanest water in the world. We take dumps in water that's cleaner than a lot of the world. So she's going to sit there and complain about their drinking water that just goes up out of a faucet and they could and a drinking fountain, just drink it. Who cares if it's the same water that would ultimately lead to the toilet? It's not like they're drinking. It's not like it's funneling and sucking it out of the bowl of the toilet up into the fountain. You're drinking that water, but she can't fathom that. She can't understand that type of stuff. And why would you? You're a bartender, so who knows? And I'm taking little jabs here, folks. Calm down. Bartending is a hard job. I'm going to get that. I'm not joking on. It really is. Anything you're dealing with customer service, you're taking orders, you're mixing drinks, things like that. Look, it's not an easy job. I know we joke around with it because it's technically kind of a low skill job, but it's hard. You know what I mean? I think retail is hard. I think customer service jobs are hard. I think there is some sense of you taking orders, dealing with the public that it can be challenging at times. So, kudos to her for doing it. Hey, folks, at least she got a job, right? At least she was working. So it's not like Bernie Sanders, who's been mooching off, like suckling at the public's teat for his entire life. I think he held a paper route when he was really young. I think that was it. Other than that, the guy's just been suckling at the governmental teat for his entire life. So, hey, again, give credit where credit's due. I'm not there to rip on anybody. I'm there to joke around a little bit because we can all joke. I worked at Staples. You could joke around with that as well. Like, oh, dude, the guy worked at Staples in college. I would laugh, but hey, it was a good job. Staples was a great company. I actually loved it. So, Kudos to her for at least working during college and doing something. Lastly, here in the news, this comes from our friends over at the Daily Wire. It is written by Hank Barron, and it says, Arizona residents slam Biden for turning hotel into migrant center. We've talked about this, and I'll be honest, I actually didn't think that they were going through with this, and I got to do more research on this on the side here. I believe there was a lawsuit that was trying to stop the $87 million hotel fees for illegal immigrants, and I thought that got stopped. So I don't know if this is a different hotel fee. I don't know if this is a different 1,200 residents that are going into a hotel. I don't know if he's doing multiple or if this was just kind of built into that $87 million. Truthfully, it doesn't matter. We're going to have to pay for this anyways. And who wouldn't be pissed if this was a locality to you and you're a resident of this area and you have 1,200 plus, it's not just 1,200 plus illegal immigrants in hotels. Folks, our veterans are sleeping on the street. The guys that actually went and served our country, the ones that watch other people die, get blown apart. Why are they not being a part of this? Why are they not being helped? I would rather help them. They made the ultimate sacrifice. I didn't sign up for the military. My grandfather and father did. Thank God for them. But look, I don't understand why we're always helping other people out and we're not willing to first start with our own. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating and it does get me riled up. I know Randy left me a comment in yesterday's episode and said, hey, you looked a little frazzled, a little riled up. There's certain things that do rile me up. I think a lot of times my face just sits very seriously. 99% of the time, you guys, even though I'm talking serious like this, I'm actually very happy inside. My face just sits like I'm pissed all the time. It's a blessing and a curse because nobody screws with you, but at the same time, everybody just thinks you're upset all the time, which I'm not. And my voice just comes across as very stern. If you were to ever meet me in real life, I try to smile as much as I can just so everybody knows I'm in a good mood. But this one, seriously, this one takes it to the core. Like, this really does piss me off. Like, anything with illegal immigration here and the handling of people and especially treating our vets poorly, I'm really, really not for that. Anything like our first responders, you not supporting the police officers or trying to defund the police, that goes to my core. That pisses me off. That really does make me upset. You doing this and not supporting our veterans, and you're going to house illegal immigrants in hotels, but yet we have veterans sleeping on the streets, doing drugs. They have alcohol problems, mental problems, and you're not going to help them first. Why would it not make anybody pissed off? Like, I don't understand. You know what I mean? It's not fathomable for me. I can't comprehend why somebody would do this. Like, just take care of your own people first, then everybody comes second. Everybody comes second. Americans come first. And that's why Trump's message resounded with a lot of people, because everybody's tired of sending billions of dollars every freaking year to other countries. Everybody's tired of spending billions of dollars on illegal immigration. Everybody's tired of spending money on everybody else other than fixing our own damn problems here in the United States. Fix your own shit first and then worry about everything else. And again, it goes back to the surgery thing that I always use as an analogy. We're gushing blood. We're freaking in debt. Money's going everywhere. Why don't we get that under control? Fix the budget so we have a surplus. Fix the tax rates so we have a surplus. I'm not saying send the tax rates up. Get rid of your damn expenses. You got the income coming in. Get rid of that freaking expense that you have. People, get rid of military. No. Military is not part of the biggest part of the budget here. It's your social programs, okay? It's the programs that you're throwing money out there with. All right, so, I mean, let's be honest. Social Security needs to get reworked. We all know that. Heck, I've always said, build a new system. Have two systems in place. The first system is all those that have already been born are working and have a job where they're paying into Social Security, grandfather them in. Everybody else, there has to be a new system that's started up in place. It's going to cost money for the short term, but have a new thing in place that's going to help people. So Social Security needs to get reworked. I don't understand why we just can't grandfather those in that have already paid for the system and work it out that way. Adopt a new system, which technically, I don't know why the government needs to be in place on telling people how to save money for retirement. You guys, as somebody does finance here, okay, let me tell you, you would make more money by you taking all that money and every paycheck that's going to Social Security. If you took that and invested it in mutual funds at roughly 4 to 6%, you would have more money at the time of retirement than you would from Social Security. So I don't understand this whole thing of the government should control my retirement money. The government should have control over my Social Security. The government should have control over my money. I don't get that philosophy at all. I believe I can make better damn decisions with my money than the government can. And for some reason, we're totally fine with just shelling out all this cash to the government and letting them choose it. And by the way, Social Security is expected to go and solve it. So yes, let's just keep throwing money at it. Let's just keep spending on a terrible government program that was created by FDR. It's a whole dog shit program. But yeah, holy hell, that scene from Vegas Vacation. But going back to the story, forgive me on the random tangent here. An upscale neighborhood in Scottsdale, Arizona is up in arms over what's happening to their neighborhood under the Biden administration. Residents near Scottsdale Homewood Suites are fed up that a former hotel is being used to house roughly 1,200 illegal immigrants, and Arizona's Republican Attorney General has joined in the fight. In a statement from U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, officials say that Texas and Arizona will provide temporary emergency shelter and process families placed in their custody through a short-term contract with Endeavors, a nonprofit organization. Through the contract ending on September 30th, 1,229 beds will be used for housing and the housing of illegal immigrant families. On Saturday, 200 residents protested. Arizona GOP Attorney General fired off a letter to President Biden in which stated, "I was extremely disappointed to learn about this through a newspaper report rather than any prior contact from DHS or ICE, even though there is an important public safety issue involved in locating and any detention center in a community setting. The root causes of the current crisis are problems of the Biden administration's own making." Absolutely agree. "Including policies that have administratively and intentionally crippled ICE's law enforcement mission and has incentivized illegal immigration. While everyone rightly expects that migrants should be treated humanely," everybody agrees with that, "a new detention facility at the hotel properly should not be established. Detention facilities inherently carry some risk that one or more individuals who pose a public safety threat are going to be housed there and potentially leave the premises. There is no guarantee that housing 1,200 detainees would not result in some of them being released into the community. ICE has adopted irresponsible enforcement priorities that administratively repeal almost all ICE's enforcement. The hotel property is literally adjacent to an apartment complex and near a senior living facility. It is less than a block away from a high school, less than 1 mile from a preschool, and less than 2 miles from a middle school. It appears that DHS and ICE are attempting to circumvent any state or local involvement in the decision to establish this detention facility." And it just goes to show you that the Biden-Harris administration, they don't care, you guys. They don't care that there's local schools around. They don't care that none of these people are really vetted. They'll tell you that they're vetted, right? They'll tell you, oh, all these people are clean. The purpose that he's saying here is that even if you vet these people, they shouldn't be here in the first place, and there's nothing stopping them from committing a crime on all these citizens that we have, and the job of government is to protect its citizens, and right now, they're putting these citizens in jeopardy. Now, could all these 1,200 plus people be fine and not commit any problems in the community? Sure. But the problem is that why create that risk in the first place? And that's what's going on here, is you're creating a risk, you're creating a potential problem that could end up being put as a lawsuit against the locality or whoever, and then you're costing the taxpayers more money when this should have never happened in the first place. But again, they don't care. And I know I keep repeating it, but they don't, you guys. And how many times we talk about on the show together that we're constantly seeing Harris not going to the border. Oh, don't come. But yet at the same time, not building the border wall. At the same time, removing Trump's policies. At the same time, removing Obama-Biden policies way back when. They don't care about this stuff. All they care about is a vote. All they care about is having open borders. They don't care about the citizens of the United States. They pretend to care. But if you did, you wouldn't have a surging budget. You wouldn't have all this debt happening. You wouldn't have all these illegal immigrants crossing the U.S.-Mexico border. You wouldn't have a massive homeless problem. You wouldn't have tax rates that suck. You wouldn't be trying to increase the tax rates. You wouldn't have inflation. You wouldn't have our commodities and goods constantly increasing. You wouldn't try to increase the federal minimum wage. You wouldn't be doing all of these things. But folks, this is just me shooting off the hip without even doing much research, just naming all these things that we're having problems with. And these are problems that the Biden administration created. It wasn't Trump creating these problems. They started all these problems, or at least contributed to starting these problems. I mean, really, you can go back with the illegal immigration going back way back when, but Trump at least somewhat had it handled. I'm not saying the whole bleeding was stopped, but at least he was saying, hey, I'm going to build the border wall. And he started doing it. and we expected it to be built. But then you have Democrats coming in that are halting everything. The president is using Arizona as an experiment with his reckless border policies. I will continue to stand up for Arizonians and do everything I can to stop the Biden administration's attempt to abolish ICE. All of us will pay the price, not only with our tax dollars, which I just mentioned, but also with our national security and the safety of our families, which is exactly what I'm talking about. So these are actually politicians that are doing their job. Okay, they're saying they're out there to protect the citizens. They're out there to protect the taxpayer and ultimately not spend taxpayer dollars when it doesn't need to be spent. But, again, repeat myself, Democrats don't give to. One protester stated, over the Memorial Day weekend, we were notified about the hotel and the illegals that were moved in under the cover of darkness without any of the consultation from our local community. Another added, my wife and I drove by last night, and sure enough, they have armed guards, and we have pictures taken by our homeowners unloading buses with people with backpacks into the facility. So we're concerned that none of us have been put on notice. There was no due process. That's just lovely. Just drop them off. No big deal. Who cares about the residents? The ones that are actually paying the taxes in the locality there. No issue there. Why even consult them? Not a big deal. They're going to be fine with it. I'm the most popular president in the United States. There was no issues with the election. There's nothing. This guy's the most popular president in American history. Does it not seem a little weird? I'm not saying that Trump won. That is not what I'm saying. I want to be clear. But you're telling me that this guy is the most popular president that's ever existed in United States history? I don't know, man. Usually if it smells like shit, it usually is shit. But that is all the news I have for you all today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Please support the Bald Brad Show by doing so. Also, please share this on your social media. Send this to friends and family. And folks, I hope you're having a lovely and blessed day. Make sure you pray for our president, our vice president, the country, and may God continue to bless the United States of America. And I'll see you here tomorrow on the Bald Brad Show.